good, YouTube? It's Marco! Beam! Back with another video, man. Thank you, Jesus, for allowing us to be here another day. Shout out to Apollo. Apollo requested this video right here. He said, react to Big Head Hockey video about the upcoming prospects, Gavin McKenna. This is Ivar. Is it Ivar or Ivar Stenberg? Stenberg. I know I heard McKenna like watching World Juniors, and I'm guessing also McKenna is predicted to go number 1. So gonna be a great video, man. Interesting video. Before this video starts, though, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those post notifications on. Let's get into it.
Of this season, there was one man who was obviously going first overall.
Because we have a freak on our hands in Gavin McKenna.
After all, Gavin McKenna was the best Canadian hockey prospect ever.
Goodness.
He was the best junior hockey player in Canada as a 16-year-old and beat...
Hold on. Check this out. 41 games. Oh no, this is goals. Sorry. 41 goals, 88 assists, 129 points in 56 games. This is Hunter Bedard, 100 points in 62. Wow. First All-Star, CHL first All-Star team, CHL Memorial Cup All-Star team, CHL Player of the Year. What's that, Helenka? Gretzky Cup gold medal. Wow. WHL East first All-Star team, WHL best plus minus. Wow. WHL champion, most assists, and a WHL player of the year. I don't know where these subtitles coming from. 4 Broncos.
Bedard, McDavid, and Crosby's point totals at the same age. McKenna was too good for junior hockey in Canada. He became the first major NIL transfer to NCAA, signing a rumored $1 million deal to play at Penn State.
Okay.
Obviously a record. After all, this is hockey we're talking about. McKenna was massive. That's why it feels almost impossible to accept that there's a new name that's expected to go first overall at the 2026 NHL.
No.
When I say best Canadian hockey prospect...
Yo, by the way, shout out to this guy. This editing is beautiful.
I mean it. At the same age, Gavin McKenna had 29 more points than Connor Bedard in 8 fewer games in the WHL, and then single-handedly won a championship for his Medicine Hat Tigers. But now that the draft is coming up in a couple of months, any and everywhere you'll look, you'll see people disappointed in Gavin McKenna's season in college. He's got 18 points in 17 games, which, bottom line, is just not good enough to warrant a first overall pick. The problem is then exacerbated by McKenna generally 90 to 95% of the time he's on the ice, looking like he doesn't give a fuck about whether or not he ever plays another game of hockey in his life. He's one of the lowest heart rate players I've ever seen play the sport. Put an Apple Watch on him and you might think he dies in between shifts because of how low his heart rate is. He gives up on plays early, he avoids contact in all situations, and he tries desperation moves to avoid putting extra effort in along the walls. These two factors together create what's kind of the perfect storm for McKenna falling from the undisputed first overall position. Some might even argue if you just looked at this season and only looked at McKenna's hockey DB page, you wouldn't take this guy top 10 in the draft. But if you truly think that, then I personally think you're on crack. Through Instat data tracking the NCAA, Gavin McKenna, who's been 17 for this entire season so far, currently leads all forwards of any age in per game metrics in zone entries, breakouts, accurate passes, puck touches, and time with the puck. And he's also sitting third in the league in passes to the slot per game, shots per game, scoring chances per game. Some of these stats, like,
and I think also if hockey's anything like other sports, which most of the time it is, there's somewhat of a learning curve going from one setting to the other. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's going from what's that, WHL and the CHL to NCAA. And you never know what type of differences is, different type of coaching, you know what I'm saying? So stuff like that factors in. I don't think people think like stuff like that factors in. But this is great. This is Great
control
video.
and puck touches. He's leading college forwards dating back several years, ahead of guys like Fantilli, Celebrini, Leonard, every Hobie Baker winner. These stats alone are super encouraging for his transition to the NHL. For a guy who doesn't do nearly enough along the walls and who, I won't disagree, doesn't play a certain style of game that a coach might want, McKenna's still finding a way to have the puck on his stick more than anyone. And it's coming down to his ridiculous hockey IQ, the player he models his game after, and being an example of what hockey is turning into as a sport. Now, okay, I don't want to sit here and pretend that playing through contact is a dying breed and not necessary in hockey. It's actually one of the most important things a player can show at the junior or NCAA level. It's important at every position on the ice. And my initial concern, as with just about every other scout, video guy, analyst, and overweight Leafs fan that's watching him, is that not having a calm game under contact might make Gavin McKenna a one-dimensional player at the NHL level. For a quick example, look at what Patrick Kane does so well. As a 5'11" winger who won an MVP and a Conn Smythe playing for a possession-oriented team, he's basically the GOAT of learning how to play through contact as a smaller forward. He picks up the puck in his own end, but has the confidence to go wide on the first guy before changing the angle and cutting off Guryanov. He uses his body as a median to shield the puck. Once he's in the zone, he faces a defender before cutting back. He's waiting for fresh legs to enter the zone, and it all leads to a Chicago offensive possession. And in this new skating-dominated era of hockey, we're seeing how Quinn Hughes, Lane Hudson, and to a bit of a different extent, Macklin Celebrini take this approach to physicality. They keep the forechecker on the hip and using angle switches, cutbacks, and edge work to keep possession of the puck. These guys are unreal at playing through contact despite being smaller. Already, we're seeing a very different kind of player from Gavin McKenna, who clearly thinks the game in a different way, and he values avoiding contact first and foremost. First isn't an anomaly in the NHL, however. Nikita Kucherov won an MVP, 3 scoring races, 2 cups, made 6 All-NHL teams crazy by playing this pass first.
Wait, what? Oh, my keyboard's not plugged in. Hold on. Okay. What I was trying to see was
Isn't an anomaly in the NHL, however.
Yo, gave him a face
Nikita
full.
Kucherov won an MVP,
And oh my God.
3 scoring races, 2 cups, made 6 All-NHL teams crazy by playing this pass first through the neutral zone style and working the puck east to west with his unreal hockey IQ and just probably being the best passing winger of all time. If you can always find the early pass, you're putting your team at a major advantage through the neutral zone. It creates width and depth in the neutral zone, and in the long run, it's going to force the other team to be careful about overloading one side if McKenna's got Hall of Fame tape to tape finding the far man. No trophies for getting a sweeping poke check at your own blue line, but this is an example of what McKenna does every game for Penn State. He's a better thinker than anyone else on the ice. But where scouts are getting a little bit pissed is when McKenna makes a play like this. He's got the back pressure in transition, and instead of angling him off and skating down the wing for a chip play, which would be a lot safer, he makes a telegraph pass that gets picked off at his own blue line. Some teams like the creativity because if that pass did get through, there was a 2-on-1 that would have developed, but it comes down to percentages at the end of the day, and that play was just a low percentage play. This kind of sequence is risking a rush chance against for a rush chance for. It's a different play than if he was creating a look in the offensive zone where the risk against is relatively much lower. That's the kind of thing that a Patrick Kane or Quinn Hughes might do. They play a lot safer in transition, but by working through contact, they have a different kind of game in the offensive zone. But therein lies the issue. These risky style plays and the lack of defensive or physical effort from McKenna are a rare profile for a projected #1 Canadian draft pick. You rarely see North Americans compared to Europeans in their pre-draft. I guess this is a thing in every sport, but in hockey it feels crazy to compare this guy to anyone except for Nikita Kucherov, someone who, by the way, was taken in the 2nd round because his game wasn't refined enough. But you can't teach raw talent at the end of the day. Bottom line, you don't draft Gavin McKenna to fit into your team. You draft Gavin McKenna so you can build a team around him. He's a nucleus of talent. So Gavin McKenna is dominating college hockey, but the point totals aren't there yet. But he had some of the best point totals in the history of the World Juniors. The main reason you wouldn't take him is his questionable defensive and physical effort, and maybe being a cocky kid.
I ain't gonna lie. Hold on, man. I got to stop the video. You deserve that. You deserve that.
The guy you can compare his game to has never once been considered a strong defensive player or a physical player, and he's one of the cockiest guys in the league. I think people are overthinking this. Gavin McKenna is an elite prospect worthy of going first overall in most drafts. And yet, I don't think he's going first in 2026. Ivar Stenberg is a 6 foot,
Ivar.
181 pound winger from a small town in Sweden, which, if you've been paying attention to the draft over the last decade, you'll know that basically guarantees this guy has sick hands and thinks the game at an elite level, which is absolutely the case here. Stenberg has some of the best hands and puck control of a prospect we've seen in a long time.
Goodness.
That's why he's a near point per game player in the Swedish Hockey League, which is the second best men's league in the world behind the NHL. Sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy. Maybe it's because I run a Twitter account about hockey stats with animated drawings. Maybe it's because I used to make fun of YouTubers who asked for people to subscribe, and now I'm doing it in every video. But in this case, I don't think I'm crazy. Ivar Stenberg might be the best Swedish prospect in the history of Swedish prospects.
Ooh.
Take a look at this. The most points from a Swedish Hockey League player that's been eligible to be drafted in the history of the league. Number 1 is Ted Lindsay winner, Hockey Hall of Famer Daniel Sedin. Next up, 2010 NHL MVP, also a Hall of Famer and twin brother of Daniel, Henrik Sedin. Then you get to the 5th overall pick from the 2013 draft. Maybe he benefited from playing on a strong club over in Sweden, but he's a 40-goal guy in the NHL, and he's had some extremely high peaks. 4th place is Ovechkin's passer, and honestly one of the greatest passers of all time, Nicholas Backstrom. Then in 5th, you got the future face of Swedish hockey in Leo Carlsson. All of these guys are top 5 draft picks in the NHL. All of them have become first liners or Hall of Famers. If you can be a major contributor in the Swedish league as a teenager, you're basically guaranteed to be a major piece in the NHL one day, which is what makes it so crazy that Ivar Stenberg is already 6th all time despite playing half the games of everyone else on this list. When this season is all said and done, he might end up as the best producing Swedish hockey player ever, passing Hall of Famers on the way to do it. But what's so crazy is that Ivar Stenberg, more or less, plays the same style game as Gavin McKenna. Pass first, left winger, unreal puck skills and passing, not necessarily physical, not necessarily strong defensively. So what makes Stenberg different? Well, McKenna might model his game after Kucherov, but Stenberg's game takes from Kucherov's most impressive trait, the first touch. Being able to control the puck every time it's sent your way feels like a gift from God that Stenberg has. Just about every time the puck comes his way, it takes one touch and then he can take it into a dangerous position. Maybe he's not the fastest skater in the world, but he knows how to use cutbacks at the right time, and he has a great sense for finding the blind spots in transition and in the offensive zone. Watch this play where he picks off a hard pass in his own end and gains possession with just one hand on the stick. Through the neutral zone, he cuts through his own teammates who are both maybe realizing that darting up the middle wasn't the right play. Seeing that there's no immediate pass, Stenberg stops up and rims it around the net for his right winger. A steal and transporting the puck through the neutral zone is already a great play, but after the puck's shot back down and bounces off his skate, Stenberg one touches it onto the backhand, brings it to the forehand, and this teenager just did everything in one shift. In transition, Stenberg's got a little bit more of a motor than McKenna and prefers taking it through all 3 zones on his own. That's why he's in the top 30 in the NHL in both stick handling zone entries and breakouts per game. But Stenberg is near the top of the Swedish league in just about every stat you can think of. He's in the 90th percentile or better in scoring chances, passes to the slot, every possession metric, and in assists and points. And mind you, this is the 2nd best hockey league in the world. But okay, McKenna also has all the stats to back up his offensive talent, but he's getting hate for shying away from contact. How does Stenberg do? Well, I won't say he's a beast physically, but he plays a away from contact. How does
Yo, this is that was a good one. Yo, that was a good one. I'm like, why am my brain was like, I'm watching him hook a lady. He talking about, how does he shot? How does he do a contact, eye contact, and smile? Early hug to establish friendly atmosphere, good balance, doesn't lead too much, strong core. Separates and looks at camera to indicate he's just a friendly and outgoing guy. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. That was
Stenberg do? Well, I won't say he's a beast physically, but he plays a significantly more refined game, something that every smaller forward should try to aspire towards. Dead puck along the boards, and Stenberg plays his stick, and then he leans into the check to keep his positioning. Basically the standard for how a smaller forward should approach that situation. Couple quick steps, and then he finds a teammate cutting into the slot. The only way McKenna is making a play like this is if you offer him Geometry Dash Pro, It's got no ads and it's a better playing experience overall. But
Come on,
Stenberg
man.
is doing it for free every game, and he's got Geometry Dash Light because he loves the grind. When Stenberg has the puck, it's more of the Patrick Kane curl and wait. He's poised with the puck, and as the season has gone on, these habits have started to make a lot of scouts think he might be the better pick at first overall. Now, the Swedish League naturally make a lot of scouts think he might be the better pick at first overall. Now, the Swedish League naturally gives players more time and space. The rinks are wider, and most of the players are Swedish. There's definitely an agreement between teams that no one's going to try to Nick Tanarski each other if they get embarrassed. It's a lot more civil, and overall the game naturally allows for a guy like Stenberg to get after it wherever he can. So that's why leading up to the World Juniors, there was a growing sentiment that Stenberg was in place to maybe take that first overall spot. But we all know how that ended. Sweden won gold, McKenna outproduced Stenberg 14 points to 10, but scouts saw what they needed to see. Stenberg can handle the smaller ice and the more physical game. The curl and weight, poised, possession-style game that Stenberg plays created sequences that McKenna just wasn't able to make over the course of the tournament. When the Czechs were pushing against Canada in the semifinal, McKenna didn't have an answer. When Sweden was against the wall against Finland and Czechia, Stenberg danced around the offensive end, creating chances and forcing offense out of nothing. Compare the two players head-to-head. McKenna had more points, and the scoring chances and zone entries were more or less equal, but offensive possession was dominated by Stenberg, primary assists were dominated by Stenberg, highlights were dominated by Stenberg, and the gold medal was won by Stenberg. So, what do I think? I don't have a clue who's actually better. This race is close in my mind, and while I'm making this video, I've changed my opinion 2 or 3 times, but if I had the first overall pick, here's what I would do. If I was starting the rebuild from scratch, the owner and I had some drinks. We had like 7.
Yo, this guy's a dude. I gotta give it to these. I gotta give it to people who make hockey videos, hockey psychology. This guy, and even there's another channel that I reacted to. Bro, they are absolutely hilarious.
7 or 8 drinks, maybe some shots. We got a little bit weird. His face was pretty red, and he leaned in and said, "Listen, I just want to have a team like San Jose. I don't give a fuck about winning the cup in the 2020s. I just want a dynasty one day." I would say, okay. I'd order a couple more drinks on his bill, and I'd tell the scouting staff to take the next few days off because I already know that we're taking Gavin McKenna. He thinks the game at the highest level, and his high-end skill, pure skill, is better than any prospect I've seen since Patrick Kane. I've always said Kucherov is the best skill guy in the league, and now I'm thinking McKenna is this next generation's Kucherov. But I don't think many of these teams that could be picking first have the liberty to start from absolute scratch. Ivar Stenberg has got a way higher floor, and I just don't see a universe where he's not a point-per-game player in the NHL, if not better. He has all the tools and fundamentals to change a team's trajectory overnight. That's why, in the end, I think Ivar Stenberg is going first overall. He's can't miss, and I think the marginal potential gain from McKenna hitting his peak is not worth the risk if he doesn't fit your team. This race is so exciting, and I have no idea what's going to happen next, but McKenna versus Stenberg, to me, is as exciting as any of those iconic drafts, and this one is going to go down to the wire. Scouts prefer Stenberg right now, and I get why. But let's not forget that 2 months ago, Gavin McKenna had arguably the best 17-year-old junior hockey season of all time. Recency bias is a hell of an effect, and no one's safe from it. Hopefully this race stays this close until the end, because if the draft was today, I don't think there's a single team in the league that would be confident in the choice they make at first overall.
Hell of a video, bro. Hell of a video. That was amazing. Shout out to Apollo for that video. That video right there was amazing, bro. That was amazing. Definitely gonna be checking out more videos from this guy right here. Big Head Hockey. That was great, bro. Shout out to you. Damn. I'm excited to see that now. Yeah, we got the youngsters coming up, baby. We got the youngsters coming up. From what I've heard, I think McKenna is gonna go first, but you never know, bro. You never know. I've watched in the NFL drafts, NBA drafts, and I'm thinking one guy's going first, and then he don't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it ain't like no killer thing. You know, you still gonna get drafted, but you know, being first is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those post notifications on, and remember, stay peaceful, stay positive, stay disciplined. I always be kind.